Hey y'all, hey! Welcome to Let's Chat, y'all, child. This been the day. Y'all been doing some everything today. Listen, I don't be knowing how I be getting myself into these things. I had an interview at 12. I missed that. I was working on some other business. I mean, it's good stuff, but still,
Uh-huh.
child, I don't be knowing how I get myself into these things.
How you miss your 12 o'clock, Leash?
Working on this other stuff. And then it slipped my mind, and I was at work. So I was working at work, and then no excuse, I did miss my interview. I
You
had
gotta
to
rearrange that schedule, girl.
I had to beg for forgiveness. Yes, I did, because I was like, oh my, did I forget? And I never forget him. I never forget him. But today, I was put in,
Mm-hmm. It happens when you have a lot on your plate.
yeah, but this was like sudden, trying to figure something out, and I had to call other people to figure some other stuff. Listen, it's a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's because it opens up different kind of doors,
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I'm still excited. I'm excited.
No problem. Well, it's all in a day's work. It's a new night. Tomorrow's another day. We're just gonna start over again.
Right, we get a new day every day to do better. Yes. How was your day,
Exactly.
T?
My normal, keeping busy. Everything is focused on this thing in the news with the impeachment. So that's all that's
Oh,
been
y'all
keeping
super
me.
busy.
Oh man, it's been busy. It's been busy, but it's all good. We are here on live. It seemed like we were just
Yes.
here, Leisha. We were just here.
Yes. Listen. Y'all don't believe me when I say Tony job is like G14 classified for real. Like for real, for real. But yes, and then we had Let's Chat Sports on Tuesday, and we had NFL former NFL player and
Super Bowl
Super Bowl
champion.
champion Tony Adams. That was an awesome interview.
It
What was that like
was.
for you, T?
It was. It was like a bird's eye view of what goes on in the NFL. He has some great information that he shared with us up close and personal. He has some Brady talk. He has some Grunk talk. He has some Coach Belichick talk. He had some NFL talk.
Child,
And he shared it with us, Leash. It was so much fun.
I
It
love
really
it. I
was.
love it. So let's open up the show up on today, T.
Absolutely. Once again, welcome to Let's Chat Live. My name is Toni. I got my one and only busy co-host over there, Miss Lissha. No grass grows on my feet over here on Let's Chat. But we thank you guys for joining us here on Let's Chat Live. Lissha and I started our journey a couple of years ago. We started on radio. That's where our grassroots started. That's where we developed our listening audience. And we so thank you. That's our home. This Facebook Live is new for me because y'all know Lissha ready to get in front of a camera more so than I am. But it's all good. Well, we got a great show tonight, Leash. One that you've been really excited about with one of our guests tonight. So I'm excited as well.
Well, two of the guests, and the first guest, I didn't know if I was gonna get when I reach out to authors. Some authors, depending on who they are, sometimes I never know if I'm gonna get them,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes you have to go through 25 people. Literally 25 people before you get to him, honestly, for real. But he was like super cool. He follows us on Instagram, and
Mm-hmm.
I asked, and he was like, I'm honored, I would love to. I was like, for real?
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to get him in here.
Absolutely. We got the fabulous award-winning author, crime fiction author. Well, not even crime fiction, crime history.
Mm-hmm.
He's a historian for crime. It's Tony Ciparelli, he goes by the name of Gangland, and he talks always about crime history.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky Luciani, all of those things that we've heard, just mob stories.
Right.
He writes about them, so I'm excited that we have him in the chat in the clubhouse on today.
I love those type of shows too, Leash. I'm always geared towards those crime stories, true and fictional. It's just something about them, I really enjoy. And I'm always trying to solve the plot.
Absolutely, but he deals in true crime, stories, and I'm excited that we were able to get him in the chat room on today. Honey, we're talk today about core strength. So when we talk about core strength, you know that your stomach is the core of almost everything in your body. If you get sick, most likely something's going on in your stomach. It's your gut. But if you have back pain, then you know that your core needs to be strengthened. So it controls so many things. And I think that we can take that and just apply it to our lives, making sure that our core is tight and really, really together. Because if it's not, a lot of times you'll be able to become unraveled and unfocused really fast. You'll become frustrated really fast. You start worrying about things, but you got to always make sure that your core is intact, especially when you're moving around. And you're trying to make things happen, because your lane is created just for you. That is your lane. But however, the construction that goes into putting your lane together can be tedious. It can be frustrating. It can be long, because when you start that road out, it's a dirt road. You don't know what's there. You got to take down the trees. You got to put that pavement down, and you don't know what you're going to uncover once you start digging. And
Also, I think that core, I love how you relegate it to our personal lives, but also that strong core tends to give you that confidence and that walk down that lane that you have. If with that confidence, you feel that you're inconquerable, you step to your challenges bold, so you're able to have that mindset because your core set is already established, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I was just telling my son that your confidence speaks for you before you even speak. It steps in a room once you open the door. If you are unconfident, if you are scared, if you are timid, that is going to come out. And so you have to lead with your confidence even before you open your mouth, because it's really an aura you have about yourself. And that people are responding to that energy first before they even respond to you.
Right. And you know what came to mind, Leash? It's like shark smelling blood in the water.
Yeah.
You kind of like that confidence just erases that blood scent.
Absolutely.
Right. What we're going to be talking about tonight.
I mean, that's true. I mean, Valentine's Day is coming, y'all. Don't send me no inboxes. But listen, I love to quote Jill Scott when she said, if you can tell me what to do, then you can tell me what to do. But if you can't tell me what to do, you can't tell me what to do. It ain't going to work. I'm going to be running all over you. I'm going to be running all over you. It's just ridiculousness. But you have to be confident in yourself, and not just in yourself, but who you are and whose you are. Confident in your skills, because other people may not be confident in your skill. They don't know exactly what your skill set is. They don't know exactly what you can and cannot do.
Right.
And honestly, you can do anything you put your mind to. I think I could do anything. I might have to call somebody. I might have to call somebody from time to time, but I absolutely believe that there's nothing that I cannot do. If I want to learn how to do it, I'm going to get on YouTube. I'm going to study it. I'm going to research it, and then I'm going to make it happen. And then I'm going to call somebody at the very last minute.
Y'all know, I'll be telling my girl over there, let the experts do what they're experted to do.
It just looks, half the stuff looks so easy. I was like, I could do that myself.
Leash. People pay thousands and thousands of dollars to make it look easy, whereas it's not easy.
Listen, some stuff.
I'm gonna ask Christian what he think about you, Miss can do it all and be all. We're gonna wait. We're gonna see what Mr. Christian has to say about your know-it-all.
Absolutely. Well, he said, "Hey, Christian," he said, "I had nothing to say."
Hi, ladies. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Technology. All right, we're all good. I have no comment, so I'm not answering. No. No, I'll just sip my coffee on that.
Now, for all of those that are not, that have not experienced just your brand itself. Like I heard about just the things that you do way before the books I saw, and you do a lot and you inspire a lot. Tell everybody a little bit about your literary journey, and a little bit about your brand.
Actually, and I'll mention what you guys talked about earlier, having confidence walking in the room. It just made me think when I was a little kid, I didn't have a whole lot of that. Let's just say, like I'm sure people can relate where you're that kid that kind of wants to fade into the corner and just not be noticed. I was sort of that kid. And I grew up to what my sister calls a monster now because of the attention that she was the star. Growing up, my sister's 2 years younger, and we're close, but she was the outgoing, the athlete, the cheerleader, the life of the party, and I was I was her brother. That's what people knew me as. That's her brother. And so when it took me a long time to find my way or find what it is I wanted to do. So growing up, cool childhood, lived in a small town outside Pittsburgh, PA, that was a mix. You had like working middle class here and 2 streets over. You had what was otherwise known as the ghetto. So I had like this incredible, I don't know, like cross demographic kind of upbringing. And my father was a cop. He was a narcotics cop of all things. And that kind of inspired what would later come to be, the true crime thing. But look, it was like this. As a little kid, I knew I sucked at just about everything I ever did. Didn't matter what sport, a class in school, but I could write. It was the one thing that I realized at a young age. I knew how to write. I just had no idea how you would parlay that into
live life,
a career. Yeah. How the hell do you do that? So it took me many years as an inspiration. You say, I hope that people understand. And I tell my daughters this, it doesn't matter what age you are. You will find your way. Just because some people find it at 18 or 30, some people don't find it till they're 69 years old.
That's right.
I truly believe that because I was such a late bloomer, but I found that I was able to take that passion for, finding the needle in a haystack of truth and mythology of, what's fact and what's folklore, and then putting it together. And true crime was kind of a thing because I was fascinated by stuff that my dad wouldn't talk about a lot because he didn't want us to, the kids or my mom to really know what was going on in his daily life. But you pick it up, and I'm not going to lie, I hung out with some rough crowds in my life. You get an experience. I tend to be the person that kind of takes it all in and has to process it. So it ended up years later, voila, the struggle is still real every day, but I did. And that's the truth. What you see on Instagram, you said about the brand and stuff, still working on, that's a work in progress. I still feel like, fighting an uphill battle, as most people do, no matter what you do. So here I am still trying, but I've tried to brand what I do for better or worse. This is where the internet has brought us. And I try to take advice of my peers and make a brand out of it. I don't know. I don't want to get down a rabbit hole, but is it, people say, well, okay, but are you glorifying this stuff? Look, that's a whole other argument, I guess. I don't think so, but it's part of who I am, and to brand what I do, it's a weird fine line. I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but sorry.
That's all right. But let me tell you how I came across him. So I used to like to look at Gangland News, which is a website that is on the internet. I got this crazy thing about the mafia. I'm sorry. I love to be able just to learn about it and hear about it. And something happened and it went offline or it changed and I couldn't find it. And that's how I found him.
Well, thank you for finding me. I know somehow I pop up every once in a while. Yeah, it's weird how anyone does find me. I still don't understand algorithms but I will say a lot of it still is old-fashioned word of mouth.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I go to a place that I know, I recognize, I'm loyal to them. And if I'm mentioned or interviewed or offer something to it, suddenly someone finds me. And that to me, it's still humbling. I know, ask my sister, she'll say, oh, he thinks he's the whatever. Like my mug says, I'm kind of a big deal. Yeah. But in reality, I'm still that 14-year-old awkward kid who gets very humbled by, I don't know, if what I do or say or write makes somebody think or further look into it, it kind of makes me humbled behind the scenes. I am like still every day. I'm like, I can't believe anybody gives a shit what I talk about. Like really, there's those moments that I'm still amazed I was able to hopefully offer something to this. I have a lot of amazing peers and mentors in this field alone. And I think when one of those peers called me a historian, that was the first time I was ever like speechless.
Wow.
Like to be called a historian for us, because I would have never and I poke fun at myself for my Instagram and Eric, the kind of like the Anchorman movie, kind of a big deal. But in reality, I think that was probably one of the coolest things to say. Guess what? You kind of accomplished something. So yeah, to be called that, I would have never, ever called myself that. That's like that one, like I would never say that about myself. So anyway, that's kind of my humbling moment. But thank you for finding me, and thank you for having me on. If I didn't say that already, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I found you, so I already knew of you, and then I think you and Seth did something, or Seth had, you and Seth did something, and I love Seth. Love him to death. Yes, love him to death, and that just made me start following you more. Now, here on Let's Chat, we always like to find out what a person's goal moment is. And a goal moment is really when thought and execution come together. We're really mindful about how we talk to other people, how we treat other people. But when it comes to ourselves, we kind of are very lukewarm. And we tend to give ourselves excuses on why we can't make a particular move or why we can't go in a particular direction. So we want to go back to the first time you sat down to write your first crime history. What was that goal moment like that clicked in your head, like, I'm going to make this happen?
That's, I've never been asked that before. And it really does fit into everything that you ladies are saying, because it's that moment of self-doubt. You're your own worst critic, harshest critic.
That's right.
And you're like, okay, I've done this, and this, but oh my God, this is a book. What did it for me is I had been, just a brief background, I had been a freelance entertainment writer. Like that was when I went back to I got kicked out of college when my first attempt years ago. And I went back after I had kids, and they're growing up. I went back to school and I realized I want to be a journalist. So I was freelance writing for about 6-7 years, and I made a hell of a lot of contacts. Talk about networking. I mean, I was working for newspapers, magazines, whatever I could get. One day, this is a story of my first book. One day, I was on eBay, not to give them any, but I was looking for original press photographs of criminals, because a mentor of mine knew all about collecting original mugshots, photos, things like that. And I had learned a lot from him. And I saw this photo. It was a 1975 photo from Detroit of this mean, badass looking guy wearing a leopard print jacket. And it said, Detroit Hitman, Chester Wheeler Campbell. This true story. I bought the photograph for $8. I think it was $8 or $9. It came, and on the back of it, where the press puts the notes for where it's going to go in the story, I'm like, I got to look this guy up. I was just drawn to how badass this guy looks. I'll have to send you guys the photo after. I should have done that before so you can see. I end up looking into it and finding out this guy was like the James Bond of urban gangsters in Detroit, but outside of Michigan, because he wasn't, John Gotti or Al Capone or any of these guys, nobody knew. So I went to a publisher whom I kind of knew, small publisher, but I said, hey, here's my idea. Gave him the proposal and synopsis, and I'll never forget, I'm paraphrasing, but he said to me, I know who this guy is. We tried to write about him once, but if you think you can get a whole story out of this, I'll give you the publishing deal. A year and a half later or whatever, the Diary of a Motor City Hitman came out, and it's not without flaws, but that was my first book. That was my moment. But what really did it was the reaction. And sure, as an artist of any kind, you're going to get criticism. I mean, I don't care if it's the armchair failed writer that's going to, or it's somebody who legit gives you pointers like, hey, you got this wrong, or hey, you should have. Notwithstanding that, and I'm telling everybody that even tries to be an artist, you're going to deal with more negativity than you think. Believe me, it's part of it. That's in anything in life, but that was hard pill to swallow at first. But you develop a skin. But the monumental moment was when people reached out to me that grew up, were in that world, that life during that time. And when they said, and this is not to pat myself on the back, it is something that still just makes me, I don't know, happy, that they said, you nailed it. Or, hey, I remember that street when I was there and that dude was a bad, like they're volunteering this info and to speak to me about good stories, bad stories. It was just incredible that I wish I had known all this before I even wrote it, because I'd love to put all of them in it. But I know I've rambled on, but to answer your question, that having the book published, showing up at my door, my copies, and then within a few months to have people who actually it mattered to. I was talking about an era, a place, and a person that's kind of got, I don't want to say swept under the rug, because not everybody who's prolific or important is going to be in the daily news in everybody's life. But this guy was so unique, but not just him. It's what was going on socioeconomically in Michigan.
Right.
That's a big deal. And the fact that, I want to say this for my audience that thinks, everything you've seen in The Godfather or Scarface or whatever, this guy in particular, he's a black guy. He was this black guy that worked largely for the Italian mafia. So when people think back then there was this extreme racism and prejudice, well, there was. But Detroit was a very unique situation that even I talked to, like, Seth knows this, Scott Bernstein. I don't know if you've ever checked his work. He writes extensively about Detroit. We've all kind of talked about this. Detroit had a very unique situation between the black gangsters and the Italian gangsters. It was just, I've never seen it anywhere else, not to that extent. So that meant a lot to me too, because I didn't realize writing this book that it was going to, here a revelation. You think you're going to write about a gangster, have a niche audience, and you end up going into this giant rabbit hole, but a good one, because you find out it's a hell of a lot about cultural, economic, and social inequity, how crime really was a part of everyday life once
yeah.
the auto industry went downhill. There, I know. Again, I rambled on, but that was my
even before. If you think about the Black Bottom, and I like when you say Detroit is very unique. It is very unique, and I'm gonna say, and I love watching Al Prophet. I love watching his series that he has on YouTube, and we've had him on the show as well. But when you kind of look back and you just just kind of investigate for yourself, the hitmen that came out of Detroit were they were a little different. So they made sure that if I'm coming to get you, I'm coming to get you, and I don't care what color they were. You know,
right?
Just like you think about Jimmy Hoffa, I'm like, you're never gonna find Jimmy Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa is in a tree chipper somewhere. I don't care what anybody says. He's not buried nowhere. They made sure that nobody found him for a reason, but they're very strategic. And people didn't reach out to them for no reason. They reached out to them because they knew that, I don't know, Detroit, even just now, Detroit has just a special aura about it.
So true.
It really, really does. That city, again, and I've been doing this for a while now, and I've always, going back to my late teens, early 20s, always had a fascination with organized crime, true crime, because it is parallel with regular society. It's not this unique little thing over here. It's basically not even parallel. It's woven in.
Yeah.
So to find out though that city, that region was even unique within the bigger picture was just mind numbing. And yes, they never found Hoffa. Oh, I can rule Chester out though. He was physically in prison at that moment. So I did. And I was like, okay, Chester didn't do it. We know that for sure. But he knew all the people, he was in those circles. He was some people called him Dr. Death, and they were never able to pin any murders on him. That was the craziest part. They had to put him in jail for every other reason. Well, basically because he had a trunk full of surveillance equipment, guns, and drugs. Like he literally was like a James Bond. But they couldn't get any evidence to prove that he killed the 10 people. They're pretty sure he did. Anyway, that whole city's full of. They say New York 8 million stories, but Detroit's got like 10 million. So
that being said, Christian, that's a great point. But what challenges did you face? Digging up your research, asking questions. What challenges did you face? I mean, were there any type of repercussions from it?
No, that's a really good question too. No, fortunately, on the repercussions, most of what came out of that during, before, and after was very positive. Even the critical parts were very positive for me. The trouble I had was twofold. When you're researching someone who isn't as known outside of a region, finding much evidence, I have to give mad props to my lawyer, John, who was from Michigan, was able to literally find boxes, dust them off, and pull out stuff that have still been kept, because there's only so much you can glean from newspaper archives that you dig into. If only one or two papers ever covered it, it's hard. So we had to get into police files. The other problem I encountered was getting people to go on record. I was fortunate that some people who were still alive that were involved, a judge, the guy that actually sold Chester his fedoras, these people were amazing. They were very generous in their time and information. And a couple old gangsters who wanted to come out and off the record kind of tell me some stories. The problem was getting some of the major political players. And yes, this story involved a lot of political and police corruption.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not just, that's kind of how a lot of this was perpetuated because of that. But some of them refused to talk to me. It didn't make it impossible. I mean, I have my ways around stuff. That's how you get good at what you're doing. But those were, fortunately, to the former point. No, I didn't get any like too much backlash, if you will. Maybe a few people I know personally going, what are you glorifying that, that kind of stuff. But other than that, no, most of the people who were involved and still living that wanted to, even if it was off the record, get a hold of me and just say, hey, this was good, or here, he wasn't really friends with that guy, like, I'm like, oh shit, I wish I knew this, before. But generally it was not anything negative, and that can happen, especially when you're dealing in nonfiction. I'm sure anybody knows this. You write a nonfiction book, there's going to be somebody out there, you're libeling me, you're slandering me, and they change names to protect the innocent. I'm kind of the school of thought. It's like, look, if your name ever showed up in a newspaper or police report, you're fair game. Because I'm in the public now, I'm fair game. So if you showed up in the paper, no, I'm not going to make stuff up. It's not about, whatever, fake news. God, I hate to even use that term, but there are writers who have been sued, and things like that happen. I've not, knock on wood, encountered that. And then again, most of the people I've written about have passed away since. My current project is very much alive and well. We'll see how that goes when it comes out.
You gotta share that with us when it does.
Absolutely. And that's my question. That's my next question, because is there that one book you wanted to write, that one story you wanted to research, and you hit so many roadblocks, you had to say, well, I'm not going to be able to do that?
There are books that I considered taking on, for example, people who had, say, their life story, former, mob guy or, celebrity, something that has come to me where I have had to turn them down based on time. And I know what you're getting at, and I'll get to that in a second. I just want to say that when you start out doing anything like this, you want to take on the world and everything at you. Like, you're amazed that people think you're good enough to tell their story, but you have to get over that a little bit and realize, and I stuck with this. If I can't give 110% of my attention and time to a project, I don't care if it's a blog post or a book, sometimes you have to say no, because you owe it to them. You owe it to your craft, to your brand, to your name. Don't take everything on. It's not because you don't want to, but there are times where I thought, either I won't be able to give 110%, or this might take too long, or not I hate to say this, but sometimes there isn't a market, or it's not market ready. The market isn't ready for that at the moment. I'm not an expert, but I've been in this long enough. The only book that I've written that I thought was going to kill me from the inside out was Murder Inc. That was my third book. Ironically, the one that actually garnered a pretty decent award and got me a lot of attention. But I remember a friend of mine was actually he rented out a room, was living at my house for a while, and my buddy said to me after the fact, he goes, "Man, I thought you were losing your mind." Like, I would work at my day job 8 hours, come home, drink coffee, stay up till 3 a.m. trying to pen this book, get up and do the same thing over. My own family, my ex-wife and my kids were worried about me because they're like, what the heck is happening? it was a very arduous, daunting feat because I think I set myself up for too much at once. But I did it. I just wouldn't recommend anyone else try writing 3 books of this nature in 4 years' time while you have a day office job and no sleep. I thought it was melting my brain. I didn't have as many problems researching or getting people to talk to me because by the time my 3rd book came, I had a lot of contacts, former, FBI guys. I had former gangsters. I had all kinds of people who were giving me great insight because I do try to get it all in. There's 3 sides to every story. The truth is somewhere in the middle. I like to get everybody's input. That was the good part of it. The hard part was just how do you do all of this with a deadline and a day job? It was a bitch. I tell you, it was tough. But I've not really had any that I've gotten partway through and had to say, I can't do this. Not yet. This current one that I'm working on was I almost declined. Actually, I did decline it at first and ended up talking to the guy who it's about. And after meeting him, I was like,
okay,
I'll do this. I could do this. That's true. I did. I literally tried to talk him out of wanting me to do it. It's weird. I even almost talked myself out of the comic book series. That's a true story.
I was just getting ready to ask you. Now, what made you turn Lucky Luciani's story into a comic book?
Seth Ferranti was the one who came to me because, Seth's a friend of mine. And he had this grand idea to bring in some urban authors, some true crime authors, to put this down and almost start not necessarily a new genre, but a new niche within it. And I had told him then, like, hey, when I was a kid, I had comic books. I would go to comic book conventions. But to be honest, I had incredible respect for that realm because I didn't know a whole hell of a lot about it or the inner workings. So I almost wasn't going to do it. I talked to a really good friend of mine who had done a lot of conventions. And she had actually, it was my friend Tara Patrick had said to me, you need to do this. This is you. You know how to do this. You can turn this story into do it. So I told Seth, let's do, I'm on. And it turned out I was really happy. But I gained such a respect. Like, you think if you're not a big comic books person, you see it from one angle. But once you're in it, you realize I'm not just writing for a publisher to want it. I'm not just writing for my end user reader to enjoy it. I have to write it. It's almost like a television script.
Yeah.
You're writing for the artist because they need to know what to sketch. You're writing for the colorist. They need to know what this looked like. You're writing it for the letterer who's putting the dialogue in, what inflections, everything. It's daunting, but so exciting. I swear that's the hardest thing I ever did was doing the comic book, though, because it was more of a learning, like mad respect for that industry now.
Wow. Christian, you've come to know the power of words, and you share with us when Lissha asked about your goal moment, how as a young kid, you realized that you can write. Can you share with us exactly what it was and when was it that you realized the words that you wrote actually had power?
Wow, Miss Toni, I actually do have an answer for that, and sometimes I've talked about this. This is not exaggerated. True story. 4th grade teacher whom I liked. Everybody always liked this guy. He gave us a project. We had to write a very short story, 1 page. I wrote a short story, or so I thought. And I remember he came back after these were handed in, and he came back to my desk. Now, again, I'm 4th grade, already a very kind of shy kid.
Right.
And I look at the paper and it's got red marks on it. And
Oh,
he leans over to me and he said, "This isn't a short story." I swear like every part of me crumbled inward. And but as he's whispering to me, because the rest of the class he didn't want to hear, he goes, "You wrote an amazing script."
oh,
And
wow.
okay, he goes, "You wrote it like it was a play." And he goes, "It's excellent." And
Mm-hmm.
walked away. That was the moment I was both horrified and elevated.
Wow.
I realized I don't suck at everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at this. I just now kind of need to learn what the differences are. What is writing is an art, but there are very many different forms.
Right.
So my goal moment was that.
That's very empowering, because you take something that you just take for granted that you write every day, and for you and in the fourth grade to turn it into a script unknowingly,
Right.
it had to have been like something just opened up.
It was. Like I said, it was horror, complete horror when he said, "This isn't a short story." And I mean, my heart, I think, just, and then, but he was such a good teacher too, though. And I knew he was trying to tell me, "No, kid, you did something pretty damn amazing. It wasn't what I asked you to do.
But
one day you're going to learn what it is." And there you go. Over the years, it did stick with me. I just, like I said, growing up, I was a late bloomer in a lot of ways, and I just didn't know how do you transfer that talent to something that's actually going to be useful or get paid. Like I didn't know, and it took me a long, long time to figure it out. And to be honest, ladies, I'm still not sure I know what the hell I want to be when I grow up. I just don't know.
Okay, so I have the ultimate question. How do you balance everything? You're a father. You have a family. Yes. You work. You write. You research. You got deadlines. How do you balance all of that and still stay Christian?
Not much sleep. But it's something that I think you learn how to do over time. I tried very hard to jump in too deeply, too quickly, and you learn the hard way very quickly. So, and because it was much later in my life, whereas most of my friends, by 25, 30, they kind of figured out, here's where I'm going to be in life, or here's what I'm going to do. I wasn't that guy. I had kids young. We were doing that. And then I go back to college and realize, oh, okay, I am good at this. Again, it was a reminder. I want to be a writer. How do I do it all? I don't know. I was able to harness the fact that I'm kind of hyper anyway, and I'm ADHD, so I'm all over the place. But I was able to hyper focus with having a couple major things at one time going on. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. It'll make you like I told you, my last book, I thought was going to make my brain melt inside my head trying to do that. But really, balance of time is one of the hardest things. And because I'm ADHD, I see a bird outside. I'm like, ooh, you're like, oh, I got to stay focused. It's tough. I don't have a magic solution or equation for how to do it. But it does go back to what I said earlier. Sometimes I have to turn down things that I don't really want to, but realistically, I'm not going to be able to give this my 100%. So I can't right now. And I found that is the best equation. Do that. Seriously. If you can't, don't take stuff on, even though you think this may be the one, this is the one to make or break you. There's always something else. So that's my advice.
Absolutely. So your newest release that's getting ready to come out. Tell us about, as much as you can, about El Mino.
Okay. How this happened is a colleague of mine a couple years ago. He deals exclusively in true crime. Actually, he deals a lot with some of the worst. I mean, the serial killers, and that's a whole other genre and niche. And I mostly dealt with organized crime. But here was a unique individual who kind of, I don't know, teetered on both worlds. My colleague said to me, hey, I got this guy who's looking for somebody to write his book, told me who it was. And it took me a little while to realize I'd actually written briefly about this individual once on one of those listicle kind of sites where it's like top 10, whatever. I did one top 10 hitmen you've never heard of or something a few years ago. He was on it. And I realized, oh my God, I wrote about this guy once. I told my colleague, I said, I don't know, man. Serial killers, you know, there's plenty of people who handle this better, because that's what they were calling him. In 2013, this guy made news and they were calling him a serial killer.
Wow.
Well, we got on a 3-way phone call with the jail, me, my colleague, and him. And 10 minutes into the conversation, I was like, I don't know what to say. He's a character. He was, dare I say, likable. And by the end of the conversation, I told him, I said, Jose, send me your memoirs that you've written and let me see what I can do with them. And the rest is history. So I ended up keeping very close contact with him for the last couple of years and writing basically his perception of 40 years of unchecked evil, you could say. And largely the serial killer thing's great for headlines, but most of his work was for the drug cartels. One in particular, I think everyone can pretty much deduce which one it was. Let's just say El Chapo is his hero. So he's given me a lot of insight. I've gotten to know him. I've seen his darker side. I've seen his grandfatherly side. Like, if you were, I put this in my book, and I'm not giving everything away, but to introduce him, you could walk past this guy on the street when he was free. I mean, you wouldn't even bat an eye. You wouldn't think twice. But if you met him in the drug circles where you owed money, you met him, it was an entirely different situation.
Wow.
And he also has that other side where he's a doting grandfather. I mean, he would do anything for his family. But not to give too much away, he also killed a guy for parking in his parking space once. Ooh. So this is where I say you've got a dichotomy even more so. It's so dynamic. But when I've been asked, you know, well, what do you think of him? Am I going to sit here as an impartial person and say, you know, he's a criminal, he's in jail for life, he's killed all these people? I can do that, but at the same time, I would be lying if I didn't say, you know, yes, we greet each other as amigo. I email with him. I talk to him as much as I can. There's a reason his personality, and believe me, he's been pissed at me before, so I know what it's like when he's pissed. But he's got a personality that makes this easier, in my opinion. Right. And the fact that this ties in to a part of the war on drugs that we don't talk about that much. We talk about Pablo Escobar. We talk about Lucky Luciano, El Chapo. Okay. And then we talk about the dope fiend, the poor guy on the corner shooting up in the shooting gallery. We never talk about the in-between, the people that are living right next door who are cogs in this wheel. He was one of them. He was, you know, of Mexican descent, but a U.S. citizen working in that in-between part that we never talk about. How does this all work? You know, the coke from Colombia doesn't just magically show up here one day.
Right. Exactly.
And some addict is on the street shooting up smack. But of course, we demonize anyone with addiction problems. Still, not as bad as maybe 20 years ago, but let's be honest, we still look, oh, there's the junkie. And oh, by the way, that's your neighbor too, or was. And then the person you think is just the guy mowing his lawn might also be a guy who is a part of this bigger picture. So I decided, again, I'm rambling on. His story was, I think, important. There have been other stories written about him, not many. Mine, I decided to do something different. I wasn't going to just narratively go through, paint this picture of this cartel hitman. I was going to let his words do most of the talking. So what I've done is basically edited his view. That way, look, everybody who reads it, and it's engaging. It's something. I really truly believe this. People then can decide for themselves. Is this guy a serial killer? Is he a sociopath? Is he a psychopath? Is he a product of his environment? See it through his eyes. It's frightening at points, believe me. And other times, you can see how this guy actually got away with this. Has a lot more to do with how we as a society either did or didn't give a shit about certain segments of the population. So I'm not going to go into some big, but his words do enough to show you this is a dark world, but there's moments of light even in some of the darkest people. And I'm not trying to defend him. He knows that too. Look, he's the first person. He's not going to sit there and say, I'm innocent. He's never, ever once said to me, I'm innocent but he also said he would probably do it again. So, you know.
Well, I mean, because when you think of a Mexican hitman, they're a little different. Like that's a whole different type of hitman. Like that's like a whole club. Like they are different. And if you want to compare them to a hitman, maybe here in the States, like it's totally different, the things that they do and how they move around. And I'm glad that you were able to kind of tell us a little bit and get us up to speed when that book comes out. I'm really excited. We appreciate you coming to kick it with us here in the chat room. I thank you so very much. I know that you are busy. You got stuff to do, but you took that time to hang out with us. You shared your time, your space, and your energy. We thank you so very much.
Yes, and I have so many more questions I want to ask. So you definitely have to come.
We're gonna have to
have so many questions in my head that I didn't get to ask. So please come back.
Yes, I would be, ladies. Seriously, I'm really honored that you had me on. And anytime, you know how to get a hold of me. That's the other thing. I mean, I'm accessible. People need to know that. I'm just that writer dude. But I mean, I'm honestly, I really do appreciate it, and I will be on, and I'll let you guys know when the book finally is ready. So
absolutely, when it's ready, we want to have you back in the chat room so we can talk that talk about a new book that you have coming out. Excited for you. We want you to shout out all of your social media where everybody can get in contact with you. Any events or you may have coming up.
Oh, okay. Well, real quick, I'm at Gangland Legend is Twitter, Instagram. My website is ganglandlegends.com. If anyone wants to check it out, and you can see me on the Mob Museum blog. I regularly write organized crime history articles for the Mob Museum. And yes, pandemic. If this all clears up at some point, I should be back on schedule to do some book signings and conventions. You'll see me around. We'll update more because, we don't know what's going to happen yet. So let's see how the world gets back to some normalcy. But questions, comments, I welcome them all. I answer my own stuff. So, yeah, Gangland Legend, and yeah, hit me up. I appreciate it.
We so appreciate you for joining us, Christian. We really do.
Thanks so much, and I look forward to the next time we do this.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. He was awesome, Lee.
He was awesome. I'm so glad we were able to get him on. Like I was saying, he follows us on Instagram, and I knew who he was, and I was like, maybe. But I'm like, well, hey, what can he say? Anything but no. I mean, I'm just gonna ask anyway. So
he don't turn into a yes.
Yeah, right. But he was very welcoming. He's like, sure, I'm honored whenever you would like. And I'm like, okay. Okay. We have our next fabulous guest, y'all. She is a spirit. I met her through a friend, and we talked on the phone a long time. I think we talked for like 2 hours, literally. But she's so awesome. She is so awesome. Anitra, thank you so much for joining us on today. I want you to tell everybody a little bit about your business journey and your brand.
Thank you very much for having me. Don't make people think I talk a lot, although I do. But I also listen almost as much as I talk. So I have been an entrepreneur for about 25 years. I started when I was 5. No, just kidding. My businesses are currently right now, I am the chairwoman for the Chosen Foundation, which is a nonprofit foundation focused on health and wellness, mental health and wellness, and hydration for our youth and our communities. I also do finance. So I've been doing insurance, investments, real estate, mortgages, financial planning for over 25 years. I was previously a vice president in a mortgage company. I managed 3 offices. We had about 75 employees. I did about 40% of the gross company revenue while managing everyone else. My passion is to be able to help minorities, especially women, to understand finance, to understand money and business and how it works, and to understand that our supposed double negative from society of being female and being Black is actually a positive in the financial world, because it helps you to be able to take advantage of certain government grants, policies, business contracts. So if you know the correct way to use it, it actually is a benefit for you.
Right.
Absolutely. That's great you said that, because I think that we always complain, even like with school, that finance is something that needs to be taught, and not in the way that they're teaching it, but in the way that people need to learn how to understand money and how to make everything work for them. There's really literally nothing you can't do. You just got to know how to do it.
You just have to want to do it. So when there's a will, there's a way. I've been a firm believer, because if you think about it, think about a person who says, oh, well, I don't have any money to pay the light bill, but they decide they want a cheeseburger from a restaurant. They'll figure out how to go get it. Or they want the nails done, their hair done. Okay, well, I'll pay part of this bill to make sure I get done what I want. So it's always, in my opinion, it's always what you want over what you need to do. And when your wants and your needs are equal, that's when you balance out and are able to make them work.
Absolutely. Now, what was your goal moment like? We always talk about a goal moment. That's when thought and execution come together. A lot of times we give ourselves excuses on why we can't do something, but we also give other people encouraging words. We encourage them. We uplift them. We're like, oh, we're mindful of how we speak to them. But when it comes to ourselves, we tend not to do that. What was your goal moment like when you decided to say, okay, I've been doing this for 25 years. We got some back feed. Is your Facebook open?
No.
T, your Facebook open?
Nope.
And make sure it's not my Facebook.
I hear it as well.
Cool.
I don't even have Facebook on my laptop. I strictly do work up here.
So, what was your goal moment like when you decided to go into consulting after doing so much over that amount of time?
Well, I've always done consulting, and I guess my goal moment was more of a push moment. So it's like, when you have to do things, you want to do things, but then sometimes this self-doubt creeps in, and you begin to question yourself of your own abilities. You could have climbed the mountain 7 times, but if you just slip a little bit one time, then it makes you question and doubt whether or not you actually can do it.
Right.
And then having other people that believe in you, other people that can see in you sometimes what you begin to question or doubt about yourself is very helpful. Having the right circle around you is monumental.
It is.
It is. So my goal moment is probably, I've had a few goal moments, but the most recent one I would say was maybe 3 years ago. I had a person who was an associate. They were a really good affiliate who also needed some help. They wanted to go into becoming an investor to purchase property. And they had taken a class, spent all these thousands of dollars to get the information, the buy property, buy houses now. We're going to give you all the information. You'll walk you through. And spent all this money, but had no idea or clue how to use the materials that she got. And so I've had several people that have asked me, and I've done different consulting over the years, and I did different things, but I would always just do it and give it, not actually charge a fee, because I want to help people. So I understand the workman is worthy of their hire, but I don't like taking advantage of people. And so I said, okay, well, I'll help you. She's like, okay, well, what's your fee? It's like, well, just give me, whatever you want to do. She's like, no, I need you to come up with a contract. I need you to get a fee, because if I paid them all these thousands of dollars and you're going to give me one-on-one, I'm going to pay you.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, okay.
Let me think of, I don't know.
I was like, so you. Now, mind you, I'm the business one. So now when it comes to setting up someone else's business and doing their development and getting things set, I have no problem with charging you a fee. I have no problem with giving you my hourly consultation fee. But when you're someone that I know and that I'm trying to help, it was
it's different.
Wait a minute. Yeah. I set it up, I wrote out the contract, and I did it. And as I was doing it, it was like, hey, you do know a lot. You give good information. Things that I just had naturally taken for granted that I mind you tell other people all the time don't do. I wasn't taking my own advice. So it was, I'll say, probably about 3 years ago, because I called myself taking a break from business, and I was going to go to school, and I was going to get a degree, and I was going to get another piece of paper that was going to solidify me as a person and let me know what I've been doing. And then I had a friend to remind me, it's like, Anitra, do you realize that you make more money without that piece of paper? You have more information, more knowledge, and your ability to explain things that anyone can understand it. That's what I've always said is my gift, is that my God-given gift is I can take the word of God or any word and break it down so that a 5-year-old can understand it. And it's not about speaking eloquent words and you sound really intelligent, but then they still have no clue what you're talking about. I've always said I want to be effective. I need you to understand what I'm saying. I need you to get something from what I'm saying. I need to be the igniter to spark your fire, to get you going, to make your baby jump, so that you can succeed, you can move on. But I didn't realize that I was lighting everybody else's fire and forgot to leave some for me.
That's
I know, right?
Which is a big issue that a lot of givers do. So in coaching other people in business and coaching women with life skills, the biggest issue I've seen to come about is self-esteem. And I don't care what way you want to try and classify it. It all comes back to, what do you feel about yourself? What do you think about yourself? And if we can get the opinions of other people the words that other people have said to us, spoken to us, and spoken over us, we can get that out of our mind and realize I'm who God said I am. Regardless of whatever mistake I've made, I woke up this morning. I have a whole nother chance to start all over again.
Right.
Absolutely.
Let's try it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a firm believer in order to know that you got it right, you got to first do it wrong. Because how do you know you made the best cake if you never made another flavor?
That's
exactly. And you know something, Anitra, you made some valid points. You know, Lissha and I, you know, we are always seem to be given. And then when it comes to, well, what is your fee? You know, we don't think about that because we are so used to giving and helping. So that's so true about givers. You know, we never put a price tag on what we want to do, you know, and we should. Because we're gaining knowledge that we have gleaned and we're passing on to them.
And I want to just piggyback off what Anitra said too, because it's thinking about what other people have said. So you kind of know, like, if you think back, like, dang, I'm like dope in real life, like literally. You have skills that you have not tapped into. And I don't believe in saying there's something I can't do. Toni always laughs at me because I feel like I can do anything. Anything I want to do, I will research it and learn it and do it.
She will.
Let me explain this to you. I have 4 sons. The very first scripture I ever taught my kids is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. So there's nothing that I cannot do. No is profane to me. Do not tell me no, because that is cursing at me, and I have a problem with it. No is final, and nothing is final until you die. You can say not right now. Maybe it's not going to happen right at this moment, but don't you ever tell me no, because telling me no is a definite means of me going to say yes. Period. Absolutely. So, yes, not an option. So I have, over my career, I've done business management. I've done business development. I do life insurance. I do retirement accounts. I do financial planning. I am a notary. I am a licensed ordained pastor. I do life coaching. I do mental health coaching. I run a nonprofit foundation. I have my own nonprofit foundation. So I have quite a few different businesses that I run, as well as making sure that I am a mother to my children, because I cook dinner just about every night. But all of my sons know how to cook, clean, take care of themselves, because I refuse to give any woman a sorry man for a husband. If he does not do something, it's because you chose to allow him, not because he wasn't taught or trained.
That's right.
So my slogan is, I'm like, I probably do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day.
And you know, a lot of times the why you have for pursuing those different things, that why actually is what draws people to you. You know, and it makes them want to be able to understand what it is and hear what it is that you have to share. What was the hardest part about your journey?
The hardest part of my journey is the hardest part of my journey, believe it or not, was me getting out of my own way.
Really?
As I've looked back and I've gone over and I've written out notes and I sit back and I think about things, is no one can ever do anything more to me than what I allow them to. But a lot of times we take too much time in trying to invest in someone and make them permanent, who was supposed to be seasonal or who's only supposed to teach us a lesson.
Honey, talk about it.
And in doing that, we allow their negativity and their own issues to become part of us. Because as women, we're natural nurturers. As givers, we always want to help somebody. We want to fix it. You know, we want to take on a new project because we've got to feel like we're going to help somebody. They've got so much potential that they can just get the right support. We're going to get it. And so I have decided no more Build-A-Bear. No more Build-A-Bear. I'm not building a bear in any relationship. I'm not building a bear in any business partnership. I'm not building a bear. When I say relationship, that means with a man, that means in business, that means in ministry. I know my purpose is to make ministry the marketplace. So I am not going to allow anyone to misuse me, mistreat me, or mishandle me. And that has come in the journey of learning and understanding myself and my worth, and helping other people to do so. So I was giving and telling everybody, you got to believe in yourself. You got to make sure you don't let anybody take care of you. You can start the business. Let me give you this business plan. Let me put it in place for you. But I wasn't taking my own medicine. And I had to remember, every time you get on the airplane, what does the stewardess say when you stand up there? She says, in case of emergency, the oxygen mask will fall down from the ceiling. Upon yourself first, so that you will have enough oxygen to be able to assist those others who may need your help. Right. Because if you put the oxygen mask on somebody else first, what happens? They're the weak vessel. They need help. You've given them all the oxygen, but now you have none left for yourself. So you've given out all the air. So in this last year, I have learned to give some, but resuscitate myself first.
Right.
Absolutely.
That just builds your strength to be able to help someone. Now, Nisha, you have shared with us that you have your hands in so many different and the biggest part, the one that just resonates with me, is that mental wellness part. Because without that mental wellness and that mental health, you're not able to stir the other parts.
That's right.
If you understand what I'm saying. So how important is it to be mentally well and still financially function?
Your mental health is everything. Because if you are mentally imbalanced, and when I say mentally imbalanced, not even if you don't, whether you have a mental illness or you just have a lot on your plate, meaning that you hold everything in, you don't talk to anyone, you don't share anything with anyone, you hold everything in, you're a one-man army, you're going to fix everything, do everything, you don't need anybody. That is the biggest lie from the pit of hell that I can ever explain. Everybody needs help. We all need someone. We all have to find our relaxation.
Right.
I've been working on a book, and it's called Why Wine When You Can Have Wine? Whatever your wine is.
Who's she about to add author to that list? All right, honey.
Let me go pick it up.
Wait a minute. I'm thinking of myself. I wrote it down. I'm like, have you ever thought about writing a book? But I didn't want to. Did I just tell you about the 55 things I just do?
Actually, I did just finish writing one. It's called Applicable Applications. I'm having the book cover completed, and then I will be publishing. So I guess I'll be talking with you, Miss Lissha. Another one that I'm working on, and what it is the wine it's why wine, WHINE, when you can have wine. But the wine is whatever you choose it to be.
Right.
I don't drink, but I'm a chocoholic. I mean, dark chocolate Dove is what's in my candy dish. Dark chocolate is my relaxation. You want me to relax? You want me to be calm? A cup of hot cocoa and a rack of Oreos, we're good. My code word to get me to calm down, if I ever start going off on a tangent, is chocolate. I tell my kids the only time they have a right to yell at me is if I'm saying something and I'm going overboard, or I'm making you not understand or hear what I'm saying because you're zoning me out because I'm wah, 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 wah. Say chocolate. Chocolate. Because did you say chocolate? Wait a minute. Oh, I need to calm down. Okay, I got it.
Absolutely. It's important that we do that, though. Sometimes we don't come unhinged, but people think because you are strong, we're gonna say strong.
So what happens is women who are assertive, women who hold people accountable, women who have a low tolerance for nonsense and BS, we are called angry, we're called assertive, we're told that we want everything our way, and it's in a negative condemnation. As opposed to men who are assertive, who are dominant, who have a no nonsense, they are considered just being a man and being on point and taking care of their business.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't we have the same thing? Because if we're just taking care of our business and we're holding you accountable and we're still smiling and we're still being polite, but because we're not saying whatever you like, I was born to serve you. I'm not a coming to America woman. I live in America, but I'm not that coming to America wife.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
What I say frequently, I took Psych 101, not butt kissing 101. I didn't learn that lesson.
They also deem the men with those qualities successful, whereas, we want to be successful as well. So you step to me the way you would step to a man in the same way, because we're having the same qualities. That's where that inequality comes one, and that also plays a part in our mental wellness as well. Well, maybe I'm coming on too strong. Well, maybe I want too much. Well, maybe I expect too much. So that can affect your mindset and your psyche as well.
It definitely does. And so part of what I do when I'm counseling with women and speaking with them is other people's opinions are of no concern to you. And my philosophy is this: opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has one, but when you take a crap, I don't feel it. And vice versa for you. So take your opinion, and the next time you go take a crap, go flush it.
And another thing that you do that has stuck out to me is life insurance. I started selling life insurance actually last year, a couple months ago. What made you go into life insurance?
Actually, that was probably one of the first licenses I did. And believe it or not, it was my life insurance agent came to my house. I was taking out an additional policy. I was pregnant with my second son, who's now 21.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I wasn't pregnant. I'd already had my oldest son. He was kindergarten. He was turning 5. The second one is when I was doing my mortgage license. Excuse me. I remember dates by my kids. So my 28-year-old was just getting ready to start kindergarten. And I was taking out another policy because I said, okay, well, I probably should get some more coverage. I think I only had like a $250,000 next time. And so when she came over to my house and she was talking to me and I was sitting there listening, and that was back a while ago, when you had to take blood and urine for everything. There was no instant underwriting. You had to do blood and urine and do a mouth swab for tobacco. Okay. So we were talking, and I've always been interested in finance, and I've always done things in ministry with helping with finance. And I said, wow, the most important thing is making sure that you're able to leave a legacy for your children, being able to make sure that you are able to have things set in place so that your children can live better and be better than what you have done.
$1 million baby.
Teaching them money management. Now, I've been teaching my kids how to bank, and he had a bank account. We would go to the bank each week and deposit his little allowance, and so he could see how things work. But then I realized the only thing worse than dying is not being able to afford to live. So when you die, you don't know what was taken care of.
Right.
But what happens when you're alive and you don't have any life insurance that has a disability rider? Or you get hurt or you get injured, now you can't do anything. That's what insurance is for. So people complain and say, oh, well, I don't want to spend that much money for life insurance, or I don't want to pay for disability insurance. I can't afford $100 a month. But you're looking at their nails, and the women have $100 design on their nails, and they've got all of these materialistic things. But then when you die, we're doing a GoFundMe because you didn't want to spend $30 a month for a term policy. And that is my why for insurance, is that my people, my culture, my race, my ethnicity, we, for the most part, we were not raised learning about money, finances, banking, how to save money, the rule of 72, how to make money, invest it, grow for us, not just put in the savings account and get 1% and the bank is charging somebody else 19% off our money. where we could actually put it inside of an investment account, $50 a week, or we could actually put it inside of an IRA and grow it for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That is my why, is that I want our people to be able to understand and to know how to invest in themselves first.
Right.
And not rely on a job or government to take care of you or to take care of your family.
Mm-hmm.
We have the ability to do it ourselves, but we have to be willing to, one, trust someone, and then two, be willing to learn.
Absolutely.
And I think in the culture, that's one of the things that that's not instilled in us as other cultures are, and I think a lot of times we fall short on that. So we may not understand certain things, that are not, when you're not familiar with it. But those that are, and you try to teach it, those that don't understand have to be receptive of the learning that they're trying to be imparted upon. And that's a whole nother situation right there, to let them know that this is important.
That's right.
It is very important. And what I found is that no one wants to feel ignorant or stupid.
Right.
And a big part of it is in how we approach them in teaching and in being to help them. If we approach them and say, hey, Miss Toni, I just got a life insurance policy, and the lady was so understanding, and I figured out if I can just sacrifice 1 cup of coffee from Dunkin' Donuts this week and not have that cheeseburger that I don't need anyway, I can use that to pay for my life insurance policy. So that way, if anything happens to me, my kids don't have to go live with their mom, and they definitely not going with their daddy, or they definitely not going with his girlfriend, whatever the cognation is that what I explain to them is, you like being in control and taking care of your family now. When you die, don't you want to still be able to have the same control and make sure that your family knows that you still were taking care of them even after you die?
Right.
Absolutely.
And then they're like, well, how do I do that? Well, you can have your life insurance policy. You can write out your will to make sure that you know that the kids are going with your mother or whoever you want them to be with, that the money is going to be put up inside of an annuity, so that instead of getting all the money and they spend it, you can have it set up so that they get a certain amount each month, that the kids will still have money for school, and then the lump sum still stays there and grows. And they're like, well, how do I do that? Girl, come on, sit down and talk to you.
And also, Lissha, you have to let people know that you don't have to start out extravagant. You can start out with just the money from your coffee and your donut and your cheeseburger. You can start out small, but then you realize how little it takes to have such a big effect. You go to the next level.
And that's why I tell them, like, oh, well, I wish I'd have did this a long time ago. Or I should listen. Something is better than nothing.
Right.
When you know more, you learn more, you do more.
Exactly.
So
that's right.
It's not a problem. The thing is, we're gonna just be thankful that we're here now and we can make it work.
Start where you're at.
Because when you think about life insurance, I always tell people, you think about what you want to happen, but then life insurance helps you for what's going to happen. So many things are going to happen after you are not here that you have no control over. So what do you want your life? What do you want that impact of the loss of your life to be? Do you want them to feel where they got to hustle to bury you? We are all, we went from slavery, but we kind of went into that work, retire, die. Work, retire, die. And we don't have no in between. And we have to get out of that. Because, I have insurance through my job. You think you get hurt? Something happen?
No.
After your job.
My answer for that is, oh, you do great. You plan on dying at your desk? And that's exactly what they do. What? Dying at your desk? You're going to be sitting at your desk when you die.
That's right.
Well, what do you mean? So while you're part of the group, it's great. You pay like $3-5. The whole family cover for maybe $10 a week. While you're part of the group. But then when you leave the group, you retire, you quit. You just said you don't like your supervisor, so you plan on staying here for another 60 years till you die? I'm just asking.
Right.
Because when you leave the group, you leave your insurance. Well, no, that's not take it with me. Okay, did you read the fine print? What that means is it's going to cost you so much to pay for it outside of the group that you won't be able to afford it. Whereas if you just get your own, and the thing is this, You like being in control. You like making sure that you can do what you want. Don't let anybody tell you what you can and cannot do, right? Isn't that what you said, Miss Lissha?
That's right.
If you
Yeah.
So if you like to be in control, you don't want to let anybody tell you that you can't do something. Why would you let someone else tell you that you wait another 5 or 10 years and God forbid something happens to you, you get sick, you get ill, or something happens to make you uninsurable, and now they tell you you can't get a life insurance policy. Whereas if you get it now while you're younger, you're healthy, it's going to be less expensive, and it still allows you to write your own narrative so that even if you die before the time that you want to, because we're all going to die, you can still write your own narrative to make sure that your legacy is left. That's your kids remember you. I said, listen, I want my great grandchildren to be like, I don't know who Grandma Nisha was, but I sure do thank
She
her.
was good to me. Yes.
God knows I thank her.
I ain't have to do nothing. I don't know. I didn't have to do anything. It was just she just loved me, and I wasn't even here yet.
Exactly. They're like, well, how do I do that?
For me.
That's why you write out your will, because you know what? When you write out your will, you still get to be in control. That means you still get to tell your kids what to do. You still get to decide how much money they're going to get, when they're going to get it, what time frame. And that way, even after you leave, your legacy and your wishes still continue on. You still get to be in control. You still get to decide what it is that happens and what they're going to do. And so when you do that, they're like, wait a minute. I get to still be in control. You still get to be in control. That was why I got my notary license. I was going to get my notary license. I was like, so do you realize you don't need to pay an attorney thousands of dollars unless you have large assets. But if you are just an average working person, mid 6 figures or less, you can write out your own will. All you have to do, part of estate planning, is write out what you want, have 2 people that are not a part of the will notarize it. Witness it, get it notarized, and it's a legal document.
That's it.
And you still get to have your wishes told. You still get to be in control. Give it to your attorney, give it to your mom or somebody you trust.
Yeah.
Do multiple copies, and then when they read your will, and Jimmy's like, but we've been together forever. You ain't getting it. My turn, get it all.
Now, Anitra, tell us about the nonprofits, because you have 2. You have one that you are working with, and then you have one of your own. Tell us about those, and what's the passion behind you wanting to be part of those nonprofits and create them?
So finance is what takes care of me and my kids, and that's what funds my passion. And my passion is being able to help and give back to children and women. So the Fame's Legacy Foundation is my personal foundation, and I've recently had it set into a legal 501c3 because I've been doing and giving for quite some time, and so I realized I needed to take my own advice and actually set up my own 501c3. What Fame's Legacy Foundation does is, my last name is Fames, in case you weren't aware, and I say Fame's Legacies because it is creating a legacy the way I set up for my children, to be able to help other women to be able to set it up for their children, but to be able to help women and children with domestic violence, to be able to help them with money management, to be able to help with sponsorship for playing sports, because I believe that sports for children is very important because they need an outlet. They need to learn team camaraderie. They need to learn self-esteem. They need to learn how to work together. They need to be able to understand that being part of a team means you can't quit. Because someone else is depending upon you. So you may not like everybody, but you have to learn how to find a balance to be able to agree to disagree. So Fame's Legacy Foundation, and we definitely do mental health and wellness, because your mental health, as I said, is the key component. So if you are mentally don't know how to cope, don't know how to balance things, don't know how to reach out and ask for help, or to be able to get over things that have happened and occurred to you in your younger years, or currently that are happening to you now. When you take that and just tuck it away in your pocket, eventually it's going to be like a volcano, and it's going to come up and it's going to erupt and it's going to explode.
Absolutely.
And I do it with families because it doesn't make a difference how much I can encourage a child and empower them forever. But if they're going home and they're hearing the same negativity, it's not going to have an effect. It's not going to have a positive effect. So if you do the family, then you teach the mother and the father different ways to speak to the children, different ways to encourage the children. But in doing that, you have to teach them how to believe in themselves, how to have self-worth, how to have self-value, and to understand. It's a whole family unit. So you have to retrain the family.
It's more effective.
You have to be able to talk to the family because it's the family unit.
Right.
And so we do that with mental health. We do that with counseling. We do that with sports. The Chosen Foundation is also mental health and hydration. Can you tell I do a lot with mental health? It's mental health and hydration. So what the Chosen Foundation does is they actually donate alkaline water to schools.
That's good water.
Alkaline water is a 9.5 pH. It's donated to us by Game Time Hydration. It is delicious. You don't get that pit at the bottom. It's like, you drink a bottle of water really fast and you block it. You know that. And so Game Time Hydration has been generous enough to donate to us. And so what we do is we donate it to schools. And the goal for that is to be able to put a bottle of alkaline water on every school lunch tray. So we have affiliations that I've been growing with inside the schools all over the United States to be able to give them alkaline water, to be able to go and do camaraderie ship and be able to reunite the community back to the school. So we can go back to the village. I don't know how about you ladies, but when I was younger growing up, if you walked down the street, you were like looking around to see if any of your neighbors were looking before you said something, because you want to be slick and cut.
Right.
But if you got caught, the neighbor was gonna pop you and then send you home. And by the time you got home, your mama was like, "You Miss Sue had to call me because you was out there acting like you ain't had no sense. Like I didn't raise you right, and now you got in trouble at home." Whereas so you were very respectful and you were very mindful.
Right.
But now everybody wants to mind their business because the mama might go tell you off because you said something to their little child, and now the child is outside vandalizing stuff and doing stuff they have no business doing.
Exactly.
Because the village is not the same.
That's right.
It's still required.
Right.
So the Chosen Foundation with the mental health and wellness, we believe that if you look good, you feel good. So if they're helping you with your mental health, they're doing the donations with the water. I go and do events at the schools trying to help the PTAs and, do 1K walks, and we're able to help donate the water back. We can get the parental involvement with the children. So as they're growing up from elementary to college, they can get the encouragement, they can get the physical health, and they can get the mental health. They can get the understanding and belief that, hey, I can do anything I set my mind to.
That's right.
Wow. Now, Anitra, you have so much going on. You have your hands, like I said, in so many parts. And you put a lot of focus on family. Now, when it comes to you have your family, you have your businesses, you have your nonprofits. How are you able to time manage it and still maintain your mental health?
Prayer. Prayer. So it's gotten a lot easier now because my children are older. They're now 28, 21, 17, and 13. And I have all boys. So it's really balancing and time management. I can show you my book. I have a calendar and I write everything down. If it's not written down, it does not exist. Because I'm not going to trust my own memory. Now, I usually will remember most things. I think that was a gift I got from my father. My mother said he had a memory like an elephant. But if it's not written down, it does not exist in my life. And my kids know we have a big desktop calendar on the door going to the laundry room. If you have a game, if you have practice, if you have an event going on, if you want to go roller skating, you better write it down. Don't tell me, because what I tell them is, I'm thankful that you believe in your mother, but I'm going to tell you that I do not have enough brain capacity to remember for you, all of your brothers, your grandmother, me, all of my clients, and the people in ministry. I'm just not that good. There's no else on my desk. I need you to understand that. So I keep a balance by time management, writing things down. I have certain days, and by having assistance. I had to learn how to ask for help. I didn't know how to do that. I thought I had to do everything by myself and be the one-woman army, but there's no S on my chest. So I'm not superwoman.
That's hard for a lot of women. That's hard for a lot of women asking for help.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Ladies, if you do not get help, if you do not ask for help, you will burn yourself out. Then you are no good to nobody.
That's right.
True.
Because if you don't put the oxygen mask on yourself first, you can't do anybody else.
Absolutely. So our topic today is core health. And I said that when you are sick, most of the time it's in your gut. If your back is hurting, most of the time your gut needs to be strengthened because that will help your back. So you have to keep the core of who you are strengthened in order for you to be able to function and move around. Or you got to be stiff. You're going to be tired. You're going to not be able to move in the capacity that you are needing to move in because you haven't made sure that your core is together.
So my core is, I'm normally up around 5, between 5 and 6.
Woo, child.
But during that time, that is usually when I get up, I pray. I start writing out my to-do list and planning my day. So I look at what I did not complete yesterday, what I need to get done today. I will then organize it according to what needs to be done. I will do business lists, each business. Then I look at my list and find out what I have to do, whether or not one of the kids has practice. Coffee and I are friends. We are so caffeine is chocolate. Caffeine and I are good friends. So we have caffeine with coffee. We have chocolate. Not daily because I'm trying to make sure I can keep my weight down. But so during that time, I get up. I usually will do laundry. I will start breakfast. Actually, right before we had our meeting, right before I knew I was coming on, baths are like just life to me. If you can get in a bathtub and put the bubbles on, and I actually have a television over my bathtub because that's the only time I watch TV, and just lay there and take 30 minutes to allow your body to be relaxed inside the water, let the hot water massage you. You can kind of zone out. That zone out time, no phone, no notebook, just you. You have to take that me time. So in the morning, after I get up, I'm doing breakfast, I'm having my coffee, I'm walking around planning out. It is definitely all time management because by 9, I have made the bed, I've put breakfast on, I've started dinner or probably prepared dinner, so I've seasoned it. I've usually made sure the kitchen is done. I've done some type of housework. I usually start my first call with clients or business about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then I take a break at lunchtime. My sons, the kids and I, we have lunch. So I will have lunch about 12, between 12 and 1, because you have to have that family time in. I still do date nights with the kids. You know, the youngest one, we do our mommy me. We do our mommy and me date night. Sometimes we double date with another one of my friends who's also friends with him. So they like hibachi all the time. So we do date night. I go walking. I take a walk. Now, when it's cold, I'm lazy because I don't do cold. So I'm going to tell you that part true. Typically, the good part about Georgia is it's normally only really cold, maybe mid-December till the beginning to mid-February. So not too bad. But I go for a walk. I will do at least a 2-mile walk with the dog. And that is relaxing because it gets my physical ability in, so I can keep my body together, and it keeps me from putting too much pressure on my back because, you know, we have extra weight around our belly, put a little more weight around our back, and, you know, we start feeling the pressure, and then clothes don't fit right.
And you want to enjoy your chocolate.
That's right.
Well, that's not optional because you don't want to talk to me if I don't have one. Chocolate, you know how they say music calms the savage beast. Chocolate is Anitra. Yes.
Note to self: keep chocolate in the purse. I'm like, I got something. You need this?
Because even when I have my cute little purse, there's usually a Kit Kat stuck in there. You know, a little mini Kit Kat. Or the Dove are only about this big, so you know the Dove fits in there.
I love it. Anitra, we so appreciate you coming and kicking with us here in the chat room. Now, we always like to do something fun with our guests. T is going to give you a fun question. And we do this for a reason. When we have people on our show, a lot of times when your brand or your book or whatever it is that you're doing doesn't have legs of its own, your personality is part of the eye candy. And you know, we are visual people, so we love that eye candy. So your personality draws people into you, and that why has people to say, okay, I think I want to connect with them. I think I want to work with them. So we like to be able to show all shades of our guests. So T is going to give you a fun question.
Absolutely, Anitra, you have given us so much to go on, and we thank you for sharing it with us. Now, Lissha and I, we have a growing garden here on Let's Chat, and a lot of people have contributed to that garden with different flowers that reflect them. You know, it could be any flower, any color you choose it to be. Now, you're adding to our garden this evening, and which flower will you plant in our garden, and what color and why?
So, believe it or not, I can actually help you.
Oh,
Let's see. Let me figure out. I can figure out how to do this camera. Let's see. Okay, there we go.
okay. She's ready for the question.
Orange is my favorite color. And I love calla lilies. I love calla lilies because calla lilies are beautiful. They are streamlined. They are sleek. I love the way they have a nice curvature that comes about, and then they just have a little bit of a lip. But they are set up to be set apart, to be different, and to be independent. So together they look beautiful. They complement each other. But if you have one single calla lily all by itself, she still stands out by herself, and she can still hold her own.
But you know something, Anitra? Right now you are the only calla lily in our garden right now. Can you believe it? Right, Lee? She's the only calla lily so far.
The only. We got sunflowers. We got roses of multiple colors. Listen, first calla lily.
We got
gorgeous.
Wow.
We even got big old sunflowers. Yes.
So the calla lily fits together.
You see that message? Oh.
Oh.
Nice.
I know that's right, Miss Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa. This has been great, Anitra. You have given us so much. You have literally fertilized our soil since we're on this garden. Okay. You have fertilized our soil in so many different areas, and we truly thank you for that. And now it's up to us to blossom and grow. How's that?
Guess what? Some of us bring the seed, some of us bring the water. But as long as you receive encouragement along the way, you will continue to grow, you will continue to blossom. And the next time you get a dumb thought in your mind of something that somebody said that you can't do, remember God said you can do all things through him because he's your strength.
That's
so
right.
If God says you can do everything and that you're the apple of his eye, who cares what somebody else says? Remember my analogy about opinions. Next time you go to the bathroom, take a flush.
I love it.
Nothing to do with their opinion.
So next time we gotta have you back on again, Miss Anitra. We want you to come on and talk about your 2 books because you have 2. Be working on your 3rd one. Yep, I just put it on out there. Yep, it's gonna be 3. Yeah.
We're calling it.
So the first one is done. Why wine when you can have wine? I'm working on. I'm working on a few. So the other one is which one are you? And which one are you is I don't know if a lot of women are ready for this, but it's which one are you? And it's saying, are you Proverbs 21? or 31. Proverbs 21, each one of them ends with a 1. Proverbs 21, a lot of times we get it twisted thinking that, oh, well, the word says it's better to be on the rooftop, be in the rooftop than in a house with a cantankerous woman. But if you ever look up the word cantankerous, a lot of us are and don't realize we are. Because how many times are we overbearing, become tyrants, nagging, irritating? We want things to go our way. We want to tell our husbands how to do it and when to do it and why to do it, instead of just leaving them alone, let them do it. Proverbs 31 is a virtuous woman, but she wasn't a lazy woman. She was an entrepreneur. She said she had fine linens and clothing. She took her product into the marketplace to be able to sell it. She made sure her house was stocked and well fed, that her children were taken care of. Her husband trusted her.
Right.
And she made her husband's name well known among the land, which means she had humility. She wasn't trying to go on and be like, yo, I'm Big Papa. No, you're a woman.
Was.
With loving and kindness have I drawn thee doesn't mean that you have to be submissive and be a punk, but we're supposed to be submissive to each other. And you can't have two heads in the same house, because that's a double-headed monster.
Absolutely. But the flip side to that people don't see is her husband put her in position to where she can do all of those things. And he didn't feel away. He wasn't jealous about it. He said, I'm going to put you in position. This is what you want to do. And I love that in you, and I love you. So therefore, let me make sure that you're able to make sure that our kids are taken care of in the house.
He was a husband. He was a man. He took care of his responsibility. So that allowed her to be the helpmate instead of being the front mate. See, front mate is when you're doing everything and he's just coming in and adding a contribution. Now, whatever floats your boat and whatever way balances, that's fine. But this is just me. This is Anitra's opinion. I cannot be it's 31 days in a month. I cannot be in charge to do everything for 30 days, and on the first day of the month, I'm supposed to give it back to you and then let you make all the decisions for that one day, and then the next 30 days, I'm doing it all over again the way I want, because you're not doing anything. I get confused and forget when I'm supposed to be in charge and when I'm not.
But because you're the puller. You're the one constantly pulling. You're the one constantly pulling. And nobody helping you pull. You're the puller. Let's do this. You got to plant the seed first, because you got to plant, ladies.
So we are
to plant the seed first and then pull it.
As women, we are supposed to help our spouse develop their vision. We are supposed to give birth to their vision. But if you don't have a vision, what you giving birth to?
Right. Well, I will say, if he doesn't have a vision, that's what you're giving birth to. You're giving birth to him learning who he is, because clearly he didn't know beforehand. And a lot of times you might meet those people and say, well, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years? Well, I never thought about it until you asked me. I didn't ever think about 5 years later. I never thought about what my purpose was. I never thought about where I fit in, or where I feel that I want to do outside of working. I never thought about that, and
that's 100% true. And that's where our own discernment comes in, that we have to see, is this someone who just has untapped potential, that's like raw material, that really wants to move forward, that we can actually help and build together? Or is this a Build-A-Bear waiting to be put together? And do we have that much energy and time? And
everybody can build. Everybody is not here for it. Everybody is not built for it. Everybody cannot build.
So that's the question. Is it someone that you can build with, or is it a Build-A-Bear?
Right. You have to determine.
She gonna have me go around calling people, look at here, Build-A-Bear. You are a Build-A-Bear. I'm seeing you.
But that, unfortunately, and that's what I'm saying, is because I've done it, is that we see potential, but do they see their potential? And never mind potential, can the potential be developed into purpose?
That's
exactly.
Right. That's right.
So a lot of times as women, as nurturers, as givers, as being the loving, kind-hearted people that we are, we spend so much time on the potential that we see, not realizing that they have no desire to take that potential and turn it to purpose.
That's right.
Or we're pulling them and we're dragging them along, saying, come on, I see you can do this. You can be this person. You can do this. We can do this together. And they're like, all right, let me know when you're done.
That's not really what I want to do. Right. And then you realize that you guys have two different visions, and that's when people think of equally yoked, they don't really understand what equally yoked is. The yoke is the thing that goes around the cow's neck that got the two cows walking together.
Girl, that part.
But then you got people that say, well, I just want somebody that's going to make me happy. If you're looking for somebody to make you happy, you're going to always be happy. It's not the other person's job to make you happy. It's your job to make yourself happy. And if you're not happy, it is your responsibility, not theirs, to find out what it is that you are lacking inside yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So what I say is you have to be a full, complete Sunday before you go get a topping.
That's right.
What that means is, what is a Sunday?
Bananas.
That's a topping. That's a topping. A Sunday is a Sunday glass with 3 scoops of your favorite ice cream and either hot fudge or caramel on top.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Sunday. If you choose to put whipped cream, cherries, pecans, M&Ms, and the cherry on top,
that's accessory. Yep.
That's the topping. So you need to be the Sunday glass. What is a Sunday glass? That is your physical body, healthy and well. What are the 3 scoops? The Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. That is your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Your financial. Those are your 3 scoops inside of the Sunday glass. Now, if you have that already set and in place, do you need a topping? You don't need a topping.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much prettier with one. And they give you that this little extra taste.
Enhance it.
It just gives you that enhancement. You know, those extra chocolate chips on top of the whipped cream, that just makes it better.
And the cherry on top.
Girl, 2 cherries.
And I know if we think about it, as women, we have a lot of reprogramming that we have to do because we're taught that you look for a man to secure you. When in all actuality, it's okay that he's secure. But if you can't secure yourself, anything can happen to that man. And just like you're looking for him to secure you, it might be a situation where you have to secure him. But if you're not able to do that, that's not going to work.
And I think a lot of men now are getting a little wiser. They're like, okay, so that Coca-Cola 34, 22, 36 after 2 kids ain't going to look the same. So what are you bringing to the table other than a bad body? Do you have a good credit score?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to cook?
Mm-hmm.
Do we work together and take turns in raising the children and taking kids to practice and then cleaning the house?
Mm-hmm.
Can you help me build my business? If I start a trucking company, can you do the books? Can you do the advertising? Can we work together to make this money?
Can you help me build me? Listen, if I'm lacking something, do you have the insight to see what it is that I'm lacking and then the ability to help me bring that out?
Right. Can you pray for me? Can you pray with me? Mm-hmm. Can we go to a higher power? Can we be able to come together and offset each other? Because if I'm strong in area A and you're strong in area A, well, what happened to B? It's just going to fall to the wayside?
Mm-hmm.
So
and if all that isn't working, do you run away at the first sign of trouble or do you work it out?
But see, and that's the thing where you have to have tenacity. Mm-hmm. You have to have endurance.
Right.
You have to make a decision of what are we going to do? Mm-hmm. I mean,
and you're in it together.
And it also means that you have to know when to say when, because a lot of issues, a lot of women, I'm going to say religious women who have, who've been churched. They believe that, okay, yes, the word of God does tell us till death do us part, but he does not say you're supposed to die at the hand of your spouse. Mm-hmm. You are your husband's helpmate, not his punching bag. So, which means if you are in an abusive relationship, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, God does not tell us to stay there.
Right.
Because that is not conducive to your well-being. It's not conducive to who you're supposed to be in him. Mm-hmm. Now, they don't always start that way. Sometimes they develop that way. But if it's something that is hindering you and hurting you, what I tell women is when loving you begins to hurt me, I have to choose to love me more. Mm-hmm. So being in an abusive relationship, can't do that. Now, if it's something where, okay, he's leaving the toilet seat up every day, and he knows it drives you absolutely positively bonkers. You got one or two choices. You keep fighting about the toilet seat, or you ignore the toilet seat and pick up another battle. It's like you got to pick and choose your battles.
That's
because,
right.
You know, you're gonna argue every day because he left the top. He put the top on the toilet seat. Well, you left the top up and I fell in. Okay, well, ma'am, if you know he leaves the toilet seat up, you need to look because you know the toilet seat up.
That should be an automatic at some point.
You got to learn how to pick and choose your battles because no relationship is going to be perfect. Nothing is going to work out 100%.
And you don't have to wait for somebody to tell you that you're great. First of all, if I have to convince you of my greatness, if I have to convince you, then there's a problem because you should already know. And if you don't know, then.
So I'm going to share this with you also. My thought process, my belief is, if you don't appreciate my presence, my absence won't make a difference.
That's right.
So if you don't realize I'm dope in real life, if you don't realize I really am that girl,
that's right. And don't be looking for no extra conversation. I'm not here to convince you. You have to convince yourself. That's a conversation you have with yourself. Has nothing to do with me.
What does the word of God tell you? Jesus could do no great works in his own town because all they saw him was as Joseph's boy. So when they don't see how great you are, they don't understand who you are and what attributes you bring. He says, the word tells us, if at all possible, be at peace with all men. So he tells us, try your best. Go beyond what you would normally do and try again. But he didn't say, take butt kissing 101.
That's
if
right.
If at all possible, be at peace with all men. If not, kick the dust from your feet and move on.
That's it.
That's right.
I take the word. I believe in it. I believe in it.
Well, somebody needed these words tonight.
Absolutely. We so appreciate you. We can't wait to have you come back on so that we could talk about your books that you have coming and all of the fabulousness you have going on with your nonprofits. We appreciate you. We appreciate all that you do. We appreciate all that you bring. We don't know everything that you do, but we appreciate you because there has to be more people that's willing to give themselves to be able to help the masses be able to help themselves.
Right.
So we thank you for that.
Thank you.
My thought process is, listen, this is this. If I keep everything I have and everything I learn to myself, that means I'm a container that gets completely filled up and I can't receive anymore. So the more I give out, the more I can get back in, the more I can grow.
That's right. That's right.
Continue to grow. We thank you so much for sharing that with us, Anitra.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I look forward to coming back. And as you can see, you have to give me a topic because if not, there's a lot of me. I'm only 5'1", but there's a lot of me. So you tell me where you want me to stay. What hat you want me to wear today?
We love it. We love it. We appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your time, your space, and your energy with us. And we will see you again.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Lissha, Miss Toni. I will talk with you later.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
She was awesome.
She was so awesome.
She watered the garden tonight.
Yes, she did. She just brought the house in and out and swept up. Y'all see, it was just a little. She done put the stuff in order over there. We so appreciate you guys coming to kick it with us today. If you're just tuning in, hey y'all.
Hey.
Make sure you head over to our YouTube page. You can watch all of our interviews in its fullest. You can also head over to Ebony TV and be able to watch the replays of Let's Chat Radio. Let's Chat is being nominated for 2 awards. Make sure that you go to the link that is on our page so that you can vote for Let's Chat.
Absolutely. So we thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget, while you're open to checking out our live show from today, click on, make sure you vote for us, the ladies of Let's Chat. We so appreciate all of our support.
Absolutely. All of those Tubi, listen, there are tons of authors that have turned their books into movies, and they are on Tubi, Tubi. It's free. Make sure you subscribe and support. We're actually going to have Silk White in here. He has a movie for Watch What You Ask For. I think that's what it is. Watch What You Ask For on Tubi. And then Brianna Cole and Entice, they have Gutter Mamas on Tubi as well. And then you have Swiss Sloan has Circumstances too. And then you have, everybody knows, Plug Love, Danielle Marcus. She's on Tubi as well. So make sure you guys go and support them. Support the next level of their vision. We appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for looking out for us. And we will see you guys on tomorrow. We will be in the chat room, so we'll be on the radio. Make sure you guys tune in.
Absolutely. Y'all, you know, on the radio, I can do my snacks. When I'm live, I'll be snack-free.
Absolutely. We thank you guys for coming to kick it with us in the chat room. We will see you guys again. If you're on TikTok, follow Miss Lissha. Follow Miss Toni. Toni, you did your TikTok, right?
Follow us.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys. Thank you and have a great night. We will see you guys tomorrow night.
Stay safe.
Good night, y'all.